Senate in Pakistan.
Virginia Bishas, UNICEF.
Everyone, good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
My name is Ashu Marasinghe. I am from Sri Lanka, from Sri Lankan Parliament. I am a professor by profession. I am teaching at the university.
Hello everybody, I'm Samin. I'm working for UNICEF.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abdul Aleem, and I don't think you'll forget it because you have a very famous Bengali singer whose name is Abdul Aleem. And I'm from UNICEF.
Good afternoon. I am the different one here. I'm the Director of Social Affairs at the SARC Secretariat. I think all of you know a little at least about SARC. So unlike the honorable parliamentarians here who is from an individual country, I represent all of South Asia, all 8 countries. I am in charge of women's issues, children's issues, youth, health and population activities. It is a pleasure to be here with you all today.
Thank you all, and let me welcome and again thanks Mrs. Jean Gut, Regional Director of UNICEF South Asia, Mrs. Rishefa, Director of Social Affairs SARSA, all the honorable MPs from South Asia to be here with us. Prio Shishu Protini Dira. Kamon Hacho Tomra. Tomader Tisho Jonk Onek Obni Nondom. Amra Hahashi Tomader Shatek Kotak Bolte. Tomader Proshno Shunte Har Hutor Dite Karon Hamra Shai Toma Der Pashe Takte Sholo Shuru Kori. Shobaike Donovat. I am very happy to start with few words in Bengali, my second tongue, as you could imagine. And I'm trying to do progress every day, and I hope I didn't make too many mistakes. I think today we are going to have a very interesting debate. And this debate is somehow what we have discussed the last 2 days when we were going through all the discussion with the South Asia parliamentarians on the platform for children. The questions is for all the government of South Asian country, did we made enough, sufficient progress in investing in the sustainable future of our children? And I think that this is really the questions that we have tried to debate the last 2 days. And for us, we believe that it's important to hear what you think, because you are going to be the next generation. The next people who will be on this podium. You are going to be as well the next voters. You are going to be the ones who are going to say in which direction your different country want to go. So let me open the floor by asking already a few of you to come and start this debate. So I'm going to call Ms. Akifuzanam Labib. Akifuzamam Labib. He is Akifuzama is class 10 He is 16 years old. Please.
Hello everyone, I am Akifuzzaman Labib from St. Joseph Higher Secondary School. So I'll start the debate in 3, 2, 1. So the motion in which we are having this debate is this House believes that the government of South Asian countries have not done significant progress in investing for the sustainable development of the children, right? So from our government side, we'll show you 3 things. First of all, what do we mean by significant progress? Secondly, we'll show you why in countries like South Asian countries, of which most of the countries are countries of third wave countries, problems like corruption, lobbying exists, for which even if investment is made within these countries for the sustainable development of the children, the amount of budget allocated does not reaches to the grassroots level for the development of the children, right? Firstly, let's understand what we mean by significant progress. By significant progress, we mean 3 things. Firstly, whether the scenario have changed to a significant bit for the children. Just for instance, if we talk about child labor, does the situation of child labor has reduced to a significant level within the South Asian countries? Just for instance, if we talk about child labor in Bangladesh, what we mean by significant progress about child labor in Bangladesh is child labor, is the amount of child labor very low within Bangladesh such that it could be called a significant progress in the sector of child labor. Secondly, we'll show you why significant progress is very less compared to countries like Malaysia, China, who were also once ruled by the colonials, i.e. the British, France, etc. Other countries, right? We will be talking about 3 problems mainly in this debate, right? Firstly, child mortality. Secondly, we'll talk about children education, and thirdly, child labor. We think these are the 3 fundamental problems that are significantly existent within these South Asian countries that hampers the progress and development of these countries as a whole. So we'll show you why significant progress has not yet arrived in the fields of education, child mortality, and child labor within these countries, even if investment is made. Firstly, children education, right? We think countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, their investment is indeed made within these countries. But guess what? Corruption and other problems do remain in these countries. As a result, even if investment is made, the investment remains restricted among the paperwork and signing checks. That is to say, if $300 million is allocated for building schools, probably in countries like Bangladesh, $200 million gets into the pockets of the corrupted government officials, and only $100 million is spent in building schools. That is to say, about 2/3 portion of the money allocated for invested for education does not have any utility. That is to say, that amount of money goes into the pockets of corrupted government officials because of lobbying and other problems. So secondly, we'll understand what are the statistics that shows that the significant progress has not yet arrived in countries regarding children education. Firstly, in the primary school, around 11.3 million children are yet to go to primary school within South Asian countries. Secondly, in the lower secondary level of education, 20.6 million children are yet to go to the lower secondary school. That is to say, there is a overall 31.9 million children who are still out of schools. That is to say, they are not still going to schools. Where are they going? They are going in probably domestic works. They are probably going into works like child labor, where the environment isn't safe. And secondly, even if the environment is safe, we think it's absolutely consequentially unfair for children to get into works like get into child labor, or get into work like working in the brick fields, etc. Right? Understand among all the children that do not go to school in the world, South Asia probably stands in the second most position. That is to say, the total amount of children existent in South Asia, or the percentage of children of South Asia that does not go to school triumphs a significant percentage of other countries. That is to say, if you compare the American continent with the Indian subcontinent, the amount of children who does not go to school is comparatively high in the Indian subcontinent. That is to say, South Asia. Right? Also understand, in countries like Bangladesh and other countries, the amount of budget allocated, just for instance in Pakistan, the GDP allocated for education of children is around 2.5 to 3%. We think 3%. We think that's significantly low. Why is that so? Because understand conservative narratives, gender gap, poverty, natural calamities. These are something that are existent in the South Asian countries. That essentially means even if we want significant progress within these countries, we have to allocate more. But understand, allocation is not the only thing that needs to be done by the South Asian countries. What else needs to be done? There should be a proper check and transparency within this allocation. What do we mean by this? By this, we essentially mean if $100 million is invested for children education, it's a government's responsibility to ensure that the entire $100 million of the $100 million is invested in education and only, and there is no wastage of money. But that does not occur. But that does not occur in countries like South Asia. That leads to a significant amount of people working in domestic works, going into child labor, and a significant amount of people significant amount of children who does not go to school. If that's true, we think countries like South Asian countries are yet to age. On a moment, sit down. Understand, if that's true, then we think the South Asian countries are yet to do a lot of works in terms of ensuring children education within the South Asian countries. So we think in terms of education, these countries are yet to progress significantly. Let's understand children mortality, right? Countries like Bangladesh and India have done somewhat well in terms of reducing child mortality. But countries like Maldives and Sri Lanka, Afghanistan, Pakistan are yet to work in terms of achieving the MDG goals, in terms of reducing child mortality. That essentially tells you that in terms of child mortality, the countries are yet to do a lot of works. In terms of reducing child mortality and creating child survival, and also maternal mortality during pregnancies, right? What is the fundamental reason for which child mortality occurs? That is, number one, poor healthcare services. Number two, poor perinatal care. And thirdly, probably lack of experience among the nurses and doctors. We think these are something that the government officials are to ensure that the doctors are experienced, there is proper healthcare services. But countries like Pakistan and Sri Lanka or even Bangladesh are failing to do that. That is to say that essentially rises the child mortality rate, and they are yet to reduce it. On a comparative, we show you that there is still problems existing within these countries for which we are very proud to propose. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Akif Uzzaman. We have here one side. We would like now to call Syed Tayyat Hamed, who is also on class 10 and is also 16. Syed is here.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks to Mr. Speaker to give me a chance to say something in this Parliament. Firstly, Mr. Speaker, this House believes that South Asian countries haven't made significant progress in investing for the sustained future for their children. Mr. Speaker, firstly, we should see the characterization of South Asian country and such that countries. South Asian countries such as Indian country or Bangladesh or Sri Lanka, all of us are poverty-based country, or we are all development country, and we are colonial for a long time. So that if when we are colonial for a long time, we should see our economical process. Our economical process is that we are poverty-based countries. So that it's too much tough for us to take some steps in that condition, or in that condition for our child, or in that condition for our investment in that kind of education. Firstly, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, we should see that which is the definition of development. First, we should see that in 1999, 78.3 million people are not able to. Please sit down. Are not able to go in schools in school, but nowadays only 11.3 million people are not able to go in primary education or school. Is it a kind of success? You cannot expect from a developing country such a development, or you cannot expect that every pupil or every child will go to school within a night. So that we should have a progress in some time, or we should have a progress in in a long time plan, so that our government and our Bangladeshi government, Indian government, all the government are trying to make them conscious, and trying to make them conscious about education. Which steps has been taken. We should see that as a Bangladeshi government,
Sir.
our Bangladeshi government, please sit down. Our Bangladeshi government have some chance, and they gave free books, they gave scholarship for our female content, female educative children. Thirdly, our Bangladeshi government make conscious about our parents and our many kind of stakeholders. On the other hand, in India there are many kind of NGO who gave education, and who make conscious our people to make educative. And thirdly, in Pakistan, 60,000 primary school are made for our children. And on the other hand, in Afghanistan, nowadays 70,000 students are studying in abroad in Afghanistan. So that we can see that everything is in progress, and you should see and you cannot say that development is stopped. Please.
Sir, we are not denying that progress isn't coming, but the progress is not just significant enough. And if you blame colonialism for not having progress, we think countries like Malaysia have been through colonialism, but have developed significantly. Thank you.
In that point, firstly, in the subcontinent or in the South Asian countries, our parents are literally not conscious about education. They prefer child laborer for rescue their poverty, so that they are not so much conscious about education. Which is just our government is taken. Our government is taken that in India, NICO is a NGO company who take steps. There are 14 million children are 14 million children who are not able to get education. They gave education for them, and for that they are conscious about their education. And in our country, our government try to educate our old people, so that in that case our government wanted to make them conscious. And that's why if they make conscious, they will give them in school, and our country will be educative country. In the third case, please sit down. In the third case, they all trying to say that there are many kind of street children in our country. Please see the scenery in this country. There are many kind of urban country or urban children in our country. So that our government take many kind of steps for them. In Bangladesh, there are 52 NGOs who are literally work for them. And on the other hand, in India, program for civilian justice, integrated of program for street children. They are working for street children, and they are all try to betterment of their children. So that we all see that there are literally we saw a progress, and there saw our government literally try for our betterment. And you cannot expect that our betterment will be able within a night. So that we all expect that our government will do a great job with us, and our government will try our best to make us educative, and to make us conscious about that. In that case, our parents should be conscious about that. Our parents should be conscious about that, and they all try to make us educative. In abroad, in Afghanistan, or they have an example in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is a developed country, but unfortunately, we're in India, Sri Lanka, we are just or Afghanistan, we are war-based country, or we are developing country. Poverty is always with us. So we cannot take that kind of steps which is taken by Malaysia or China. So that if we take any kind of steps, we should we should see many kind of thing, and we should have many kind of bindings for our female education, or our any kind of education. And we should make our family, or we should make all the people conscious about that things. We believe that our South Asian country are able to take some betterment, and some able to take some sustainable future for all over the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me take this opportunity as well to, not to introduce, but just to mention that Mr. Fazle Rabi Mia, Honorable Deputy Speaker from the Bangladeshi Parliament and the chair of this afternoon session, just joined us. So I'm going to ask him first to give a couple of words of welcome as we are going to move in the debate.
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon to everybody, especially the students from Dhaka city and outside the Dhaka city. This is a very interesting subject. This House believes that the government of South Asian countries have not made significant progress in investigation for the sustainable future of their children. You are speaking in favor of, and you are speaking against of. So it is a very wonderful subject in which you can participate, and you can show your endeavor that what the Bangladesh government is doing and what the Bangladesh government is not doing for the cause of the children at large of this country. And it will be appreciated that if you bring the truth before this August House, it will be very much beautiful for this country that what Sheikh Hasina, the Honorable Prime Minister, is doing for the future of the children of this country. We should know that this Bangladesh has been independent on the 16th of December 1971, and our late father of nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib, arrived in this country, in this soil of Bangladesh on the 10th January 1972. And when he arrived in this country, he said that I shall go to the village, remotest village, for the education of the poor people, for the education of the rural people, and for the health and sanitation of the rural people. And that's why within 3.5 years, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib could make Bangladesh as a lower income group country. Since after the killing of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib on the 15th of August 1975, several governments came, several governments went. But nobody, no government could achieve that it is a middle income group in the country, in the whole world. But this is Sheikh Hasina who could make this country in a better footing. Now we are in a developing stage of the country. This is our achievement, and this achievement is not only meant for the whole people of the country, this achievement is for the children also. And I will appreciate if we speak in this line, then the foreign countries will know what we have done, what the Bangladeshi people could do, and what the Bangladeshi government could do for the betterment of the children of this country. So at this stage, I thank you very much for your well participation in this debate.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, for your welcoming speech. We are going now to go to a second round of debate, and I'm calling Tamidul Hassam. Tamidul Hassam. In favor of the statement.
First, without talking about the principal speech, first I came up with the rebuttals. The opposition leader came up saying that the government, different countries, the government are taking the initiatives, different investment are taking place. But is this investment taking a sustainable progress for the sustainable development of the children? It is not. That is why we are saying this investment, the investment we are taking, the government is trying for, that is not significant investment is done for the progress and for the sustainable development of the children. The opposition leader has also came up saying that in a certain country, 16,000 schools has been built. But is this 16,000 school is less, or is it much more compared to the population? No. When we say to the, comparing to the population of the country, the 16,000 school is not more proportionate, because the people, the country in which the people are suffering, and the schools which are built in that country, the population is less, the population is more than amount. And in this, a school does not mean only the buildings, rather it brings the quality education, it demands the more quality education and attending of the students, and ensuring the quality education for all the perspectives of the students without distinctive of the class, education, or any other perspectives. So in this perspective, we are saying that in this, when the government is discussing about the investment, when they are taking different types of the investment and allocations has been taking place, but in this constant, 17 to 29 million of the people in the South Asian countries have been engaged in the child labor. So what this investment is taking place? That is why we believe that this investment is not proportionate and it is not significant for the sustainable development of the children. That is why we believe, so this House demands the motion that this House believe that government of the South Asian countries have not made the significant progress in investing for the sustainable future of their children. That is why we are saying that the progress, the investment which has been taken is not sufficient, is not significant according to the development and for paving a long way for the quality rights of the children. So as my Prime Minister has been came up and saying the child mortality rate, so I'm as the Deputy Speaker, I will elaborate how this child labor in the countries has been paving a barrier to the child development. For the child, we mean that the child labor has been affecting the children in paving different types of, in different ages, because this child labor has been affecting the children in giving them the unhealthy environment, and they are hampering the education of the children as well. They are engaging in the domestic work, which has been paving a barrier to their development, to their way of success. That is why we are saying that this child labor, when these people, when the investment is giving, when those progress are taking place, but it is not sufficient, those people are then getting the lacks of their, getting the lacks of their rights. As a result, the significantly this development cannot take place. Yes. Sure.
And the question is, how do we expect that in poverty-based country, 1 lakh school will be built within a night or within short time?
So we are saying that in when you're saying in LDC country, the different types of the, that is why we're saying that investments are taking place in the poor countries. That is why we are saying that more investment could be done with the cooperation with the upper developed countries and with the government, with the organizationals, with the different types of the organization which are giving the fundings. That in that perspective, when those investment could be higher and which could be compared than the population, then we could have a sustainable. That in lower income countries, the investment should be go through so that we can pave a sustainable future for their children. So we are saying the unhealthy environment, when those child labor, when this child are getting lacking of their rights, they are engaging into the child labor, and as a result, they cannot have their basic rights. They are being engaged with the different types of child labor in the bricks field or the other sectors or the industries, chemical industries. They are having an unhealthy environment, which are both affecting them physically as well as mentally. They could not have their physical as well as the mental growth, which is paving a barrier to their development, to their future development. Among them, we have seen that in the Nepal, 26% of the people are engaged in the child labor. So this 26% of the child are having. Yeah.
if you have not no end goal, how can we expect that every company will be attracted to make that investment in that kind of development countries?
Sorry, again, please.
When you have you have not no end goal, how can we expect that every company will make that investment in that kind of developing country?
We are telling the development, the investment flows a chart, which means finding the problem, saving the solution, then the theory, the implementation. So when those whole process is maintained properly, we could ensure the development, we could ensure the investment properly. So we are saying that when this investment process is paving a long way path up in a flowchart properly, so we could, in the LDC countries, so we can ensure that when these corruption and these are not taking place, so we could give a sustainable investment and we could give a sustainable progress to that country. Second, coming up with the education hamper. The dropouts have been taking place and these are paving a long way path, and moreover the domestic people, 28 million people are now in the present world are taking place in the domestic violence, and they are taking part in the domestic work, which are extensively exploiting their rights. So we demand that the investment should be a proper way so that we can pave the long way path for the sustainable development of the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Midul. Let me now call Mrs. Sirajun Munira, and who is going to be against this statement.
Thank you and good evening to all. First of all, let me say one thing. Being a student and being a citizen of a South Asian country and getting the chance of speaking in front of so many parliamentarians and getting the chance of speaking in front of 300 students, I believe that I am an established country. I believe that the education rate is also that much established in my country, and I believe that yes, South Asian countries are never failed, rather they are just much of improved as like that of other countries to have the highest rate of education in case of children and also to that of the moral education to all. Now honorable parliamentarians, let me come to the debate. What did our government team told us? They told us that we are making progress, but this is not a significant. Honorable parliamentarians, let us just compare. Like, how can you just measure the word development? First of all, you need to compare with the situation of the previous time and with the present situation. Now, if there are developments in this situation, if the number of schools are developed, if there is high rate of education, if there is much enough of educated children in the country, we believe then there is a significant process in the South Asian countries. And honorable parliamentarians, if we just get this much of statistics, we will just be very much clear that yes, development have been occurred in the South Asian countries. Now, honorable speaker, let me say how this development have occurred, honorable speaker. Our proposition team has said that when the South Asian, I will take it later. The proposition team has said that South Asian countries are just at the South Asian countries stand at the second for just for not having the high rate of education. Honorable Speaker, we believe that being in a colony, being under the colonial rule for so many time, being like a poverty, being more in a poverty, having more poverty in the country, having less chances of getting developed. If they are in the second, we believe that it is a developmental progress, honorable parliamentarians, because not being in the first and being in the second means that at least we have tried to do some sort of development, at least we have tried to increase the education among the children, honorable speaker. So in this case, we believe that we have made a significant development in every case of education, honorable speaker. Now, honorable speaker, let me come to the second point. What did they say? They said that there are corruptions, and because of these corruptions, the investment and the proper implementation has not been possible. Honorable parliamentarians, the problem is when just make the thing, honorable speaker. There was a time when Bangladesh was the first country in terms of corruption, honorable speaker. But now we see that the corruption has become so less in Bangladesh, honorable speaker. What does it mean, honorable speaker? This means that Bangladesh is trying their level best to just decrease the corruption, to just investing in all the outsider parts in its level, honorable speaker. So if the proposition team say that our countries are not just developing like the way that the other countries did, that is totally wrong, honorable speaker, because we have to do the comparison right, man, honorable speaker. Those countries which were never been in the colonial rule, those countries which are never been under the exploitation for 30 to 40 years, we cannot just compare with those countries we like that of the countries we stay in, Honorable Speaker, because we stay in those countries which have been exploited for so many years, which have been not under the light of education for so many years, and now recently these countries have now just developed it at their own pace, Honorable Speaker. So in this case, we believe that yes, there is a significant process in the child education rate, Honorable Speaker. Proposition leader, please.
You can speak in this podium just because you are a privileged girl. If you go out of this hotel, you will see there are hundreds of beggars who are homeless, begging in the streets. How can you say there is significant progress?
Honorable Speaker, we believe that I became privileged because my government worked for me. We believe, Honorable Speaker, government is working for each and every student of the country, Honorable Speaker. So if, as they are getting chance of coming to the light of education, they will obviously get the chance, like me, to stand here and work in front of everyone, Honorable Speaker. Now, Honorable Speaker, let us come to the other side that they have, just another important state, Honorable Speaker. They have said that when we say that there are many types of schools that are not just establishing in this country, so why don't you think that this is a significant development? They said that we don't actually know that either it is sufficient or not. Honorable Speaker, we believe that being in a country of poverty, we just cannot expect to have 1 lakh schools at one day. We just cannot expect to have 5 lakh schools in just 1 month and just having a huge, massive development in the education, Honorable Speaker. We believe that if we just build 1 to 2 schools each day, if we build 1 to 2 schools in a month, Honorable Speaker, or in a year, that will create a massive, significant development process, Honorable Speaker, because development is not, Honorable Speaker, like this, you just clap and this development occurs. No, Honorable Speaker, this is not possible. We need some time to do this development, and we believe that South Asian countries want this time to have the required development, Honorable Speaker, and if this development occurs in this accurate amount of time, we will be able to make this, we are getting to the significant process of development, Honorable Speaker. Then, Honorable Speaker, the main important part is corruption. We believe, Honorable Speaker, our countries, the South Asian countries are working the level base to just reduce this corruption, and if this process continues, we will be definitely the most developed countries in all the world, Honorable Speaker. So thank you, Honorable Speaker, and thanks to all.
Thank you. Wow, this is a very interesting second round of debate that we just had. And we are going to move to the third and last round before we are opening the debate with the floor. So let me call Mr. Hanar Morshed, sorry, Mrs. Hanar Morshed Joanna. Mr. He's in class 10, he's 15.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the permission to speak. So first of all, let's start with the rebuttals. They came up with 3 main arguments. Number 1, we're making schools, we're progressing very fast, so there shouldn't be anything to debate about. Breaking this into 3 layers. First of all, let's assume you're making schools, loads of schools. There are certain characteristics of a school. Number 1, quality. Number 2, persistence. Number 3, insurity, which from no kind of environment you can ensure that those 1600 schools you're talking about, or like any certain numerical schools you're talking about, these 3 key points can be ensured in that certain school. Which means if you cannot ensure these qualities in a school, we don't believe that that thing or that certain institute or that certain building can be called as a school. Secondly, they talked about mentality change, right? They gave an example of this youth parliament. We're going to break this from 3 layers. First of all, privilege. In a POI, we have already asked that you are the privileged one, but not necessarily everyone out there in every country will be the privileged one. But let's just assume the government is giving privilege to everyone. You, like in those 2 speeches, nowhere could ensure that even if you as a government give that privilege, that certain person whom you are offering that privilege will be good enough to take that privilege for him. Which means that if you say to a certain random person that you are giving that privilege to him to come to this youth parliament, you cannot ensure that they will come to this youth parliament. At the end of the day, what happens? You are coming in a bubble where you are saying that yes, we are giving privilege to them. If they take it, that's pretty good for us. If they don't, that's none of our matter. But since this debate's premise is not about who to blame, not about who are the certain stakeholders and why to blame them. It's only about the betterment of the children. We believe that they had a certain burden where they had to prove why the children will have to take that privilege and why they have to utilize that privilege, which they failed to show. That is why they lose this debate. Thirdly, they talked about colonialism, right? First of all, it cannot be an excuse because we can show thousands of examples, because for history, we could show USA, we could show Malaysia, all of them went through certain problems in history. But principally speaking, at the end of the day, history cannot be a shield which you hold on forever. If you always talk about history and say that, yeah, history did this to me, so I cannot progress in future, that's not my fault, then of course you cannot ever think about progressing in future. You have to forget your history and you have to move on to your future and show on significant progress, which you failed to show. So colonialism can be an excuse. Now, coming to our arguments. First of all, we talked about lack of obedience. What does that mean? No transparency. Secondly, we have policy problems. Thirdly, targeted marketing is not being done. Fourthly, we can show nepotism in like every sectors of a certain country. And finally, corruption. From these 5 layers, we can ensure this thing to you that obedience is lacking day by day. And at the end of the day, with no obedience being maintained from the policymakers of the country, you cannot ensure or you cannot talk about the children are being catered at. Second argument, we talked about participation. Let's give an example. Today, people standing at the parliament who are making the policies are in an average over 40 years old, over 50 years old. But who are they making the policy for? For 15 years old children or 16 years old children. Doesn't this occur to you that how a 40-year-old will make a very good policy with taking the ideology of a 13-year-old into account? But let's just assume that he does that. Still, there's a certain question you have to answer, which is at the end of the day, that certain arena of participation, that thing you have to ensure that a children will be catered at and what he wants will go through the ears of the parliamentarians, which they fail to show again. What do we mean by that? That means that at the end of the day, one, you fail to prove the participation of the children throughout the whole debate. Secondly, you fail to prove that the lack of obedience is being catered in. And thirdly, irrespective of any certain context, any developing country, developed country from any region, you fail to prove that the current scenario is being catered in. It has significant improvement. We believe you lose this debate. And again, now, finally, what are the flow charts of investment? First of all, you have to identify the problem. Secondly, you have to identify the solution. Thirdly, you have to go through the theory. 15 seconds, please. So you have to go through the theory. And finally, you have to implement. We have problems in all these 4 categories because, as I've already stated, we do not have any targeted marketing. We do not know where to cater at. So at the end of the day, when you have 4 problems in all of those bias criteria, how do you assume that the investment is going to the right place? That is why we believe that we take the debate home. Thank you very much.
And the last debater is going to be Xil Zaiswan. Xil Zaiswan. She's from the class 10 and she's 16.
Thank you everyone and good afternoon. Today the motion of this House is, this House believes that government of South Asian countries have not made significant progress in investing for sustainable future of their children. By this time we have already experienced some heated up arguments of the debate, and now I'm totally going through the summarization of the debate, and I'm going to prove that from the side opposition we have explained and clearly proved that despite having so many problems, despite being in the problems of colonialism and poverty, etc., the South Asian countries have increased that level of progress or that level of success which we expect, and that ultimately leads to the long pathway of ultimate sustainable development. So coming up from the side proposition, from the very beginning of the debate, the side proposition is continuously comparing the scenario and perspective of a South Asian country with that of a Western country. For example, you compare the education rates, you compare the child mortality rate to that of a country that probably has 80 to 85,000 US dollars per capita income to that of a country which has only 700 to 800,000 of US dollars as their per capita income. So it's quite I'll take later. So it's quite understandable that the perspectives of countries like USA, which are already developed, and the countries of South Asian countries, which are going through a development process, is different. So the rate of development and the time the countries will take to develop themselves, to increase their sustainable development goals, to reach their MDGs, are quite different. So comparing those in this house is quite illegitimate. Yet if you compare that, then let us give an example of a financially developed country, Saudi Arabia. For example, countries like that are in the Middle East basically float in or are abundant with huge natural resources, which ultimately pave the way for their huge, humongous financial development. But yet, honorable Dayas, the education rate or the consciousness rate in Middle East countries is way too less than those countries of South Asia, which probably don't have that much of enough financial support or financial backup compared to that of Middle East countries. So we believe this is a huge sector. This deserves a huge appreciation of the government of these South Asian countries. For example, Sri Lanka, despite being engaged in 30 years of long civil war, despite being in the terror of the Tamil Tigers, still has made it possible within 9 years to make their education literacy rate to 100%. So we believe this kind of success of the government needs high appreciation. So from our side, opposition, we believe though there are some problems, though there are the development rate is quite a bit slow, is going a bit slow, but yet the development is occurring, and we believe this ultimately paves the long way for the sustainable development of this country. Yes, please. Yes, please.
Ma'am, in a world of globalization, standing in 21st century, how do you reckon, without taking the Western countries into account, we are going to improve as South Asian countries?
Yeah, thank you so basically what I was trying to explain is a direct comparison between these countries. For example, if you stand here today and say, so in one day they earn 100,000 US dollars and we don't, why we don't? So this is something a quite illegitimate question, right? The world is not a utopia. The South Asian countries are not in a utopian situation where everything is perfect. We have already explained to our first two speakers that there exist high problems like education rate is not that much developed. The people are not that much conscious about education. The people are not that much conscious about progressive development. They are not liberal-minded. There exists various stereotyping of the people. So in this context, I'll take it later. So in this context, when the government is still able to achieve their goals, is a high appreciation, we believe. We have seen in Pakistan that the Pakistan national vision that includes the maternal development, reducing the child mortality rate, ensuring nutrition for all, is highly praiseworthy, and which has already implemented its various programs and has reached success. Moreover, in this whole debate today, we expect from the DPM, they say come up and say 16,000 schools are built, but the quality of education is not enough. So now I explain you why the quality of education is being developed day by day. Here we see in Bangladesh, the primary education is free of cost. The teachers do undergo through 3 years of training, and this is how institutional education is highly promoted and the quality is still maintained. Moreover, if you talk about entrepreneurs, we have seen that in developing countries or developed middle-income countries, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, etc., they do have online platforms for education that ultimately leads them to a digitalized country. For example, in Bangladesh, we do have 10-minute school. The students are incorporated with various digital learning mediums like Khan Academy, etc. So these do signifies that the people are being digitalized. The people are being going to a way that they might have some problems yet, but they do have a long way paved to earn development. So with this belief, proud to oppose. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations. I'm very impressed by the 6 different debaters, and I'm impressed by the level of the debate itself and the contents. And I'm sure that now that we're going to move to the second part of our discussion and the interaction with parliamentarians from South Asia. We are going to have very interesting questions. But before doing so, I'm going to ask Mr. Fazle Rabibia if he wants to give some words about the debate he was part of, and then we will ask a few of you in the room to ask some of the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Honorable members of the Parliament of different countries of the South Asian countries, my dear participants in this parliamentary discussions on the matter. This House believes that Government of Bangladesh of South Asian countries have not made significant progress in investigating for the sustainable future of their children. The boys and girls who have participated in this debate, if I say that all of you said very nicely, and it is very much excellent, all of you. And this is very much praiseworthy that you could place your arguments before this parliament in such a way which we could not have dreamed of it while we were the students of the schools and colleges. So we have improved in such a way that our boys and girls have learned a lot from this country. I beg to remind that after the independence of Bangladesh, the late father of nation, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujib, nationalized 37,000 primary schools. 37,000 primary schools were nationalized by the father of the nation. And the primary education was made compulsory. And from there, we started to learning and we started to be educated in our country. Although it was a poorest country, and during the 1971 war, everything was devastated. There was nothing in East Pakistan, that is the present Bangladesh. And from where we have reached, can you tell me that even before 20 years, we could not think that UNICEF will arrange such a meeting with our boys and girls in this 7-star hotel, Hotel Sonarga. Could you think of it? But now it is reality. And that is the achievement, that is the development of the country, and that is the development of the government. This is very much praiseworthy, number one. Number two, since then, no government could make any primary school nationalized. After a long gap, till 2014, the daughter of the father of the nation, Sheikh Hasina, the Honorable Prime Minister, could make 26,000 non-government primary school nationalized. This is also an achievement of our government, especially the government of Sheikh Hasina. We could not even think that on 1st of January in each year, all the students of this country, from class 1 to class 9, will get new books. We could not think of it, but nowadays, on each 1st January, our boys and girls are getting new books in their schools. They are being educated without tuition fees. The girls students are getting a scholarship, and this scholarship money is going to the mother of the girls students through telephone. A mobile telephone set has been given to the mother of a girl student who are getting the scholarship from the government. Not only in the school life, we have said that our government is also giving a scholarship to the students of the degree classes, wherein 60% are getting from are female and 40% are male. So this government is doing much for the empowerment and for the improvement of the girls and the women folk as a whole. So this is a development of this government. This is an improvement of the education of the government. If I analyze, look at this country's picture. in 2005 and 6, we were less in food. That is, there was acute food shortage. But now, we are in excess of food. This is the development of the government. If we look at the budget of 2005 and 6, you will find that we could not allocate even 1,00,000 crore taka in our budget in 2005 and 6. And look at the budget of 2017 and 18, we can allocate budgetary amount to the tune of more than 4,00,000 crore taka. It is an improvement and it is the development of the country. And this development budget is also meant for the education, it is also meant for the children, and it is meant for the for eradication of child marriage, it is meant for the eradication of the different diseases of the children, it is meant for the cutting down the mortal rate of the children and the mothers. So this is being done, and this is going to be done by our government, by our benevolent government. But both the sides, in favor or against, you participated in this debate, are very interesting and very nice, and you have submitted, you have cited so many important things which excited me also. Since I am the Deputy Speaker of the Parliament, sometimes I find that somebody cannot speak very nicely, but you are speaking so nicely that I am very much impressed. And the honorable members of the different countries, I do hope that they have also been impressed, including my sidemates. They are also very much impressed at your speeches. So thank you very much, and I do hope in future you will be a very good parliamentarian. Not only that, you will bring pride for the nation like Sheikh Hasina. You will bring pride for the nation like Dr. Shirin Sharmin Chaudhary, who is the Deputy Speaker of the Parliament. We do hope amongst you there will be the President. Amongst you there will be the Prime Minister. Amongst you there will be the Speaker. Amongst you there will be the Chief Justice of this country. Amongst you there will be the Army Chief, Navy Chief, and Air Force Chief. So we are very much proud of you that you are improving in such a way that once Bangladesh will be a very big and great country which has been born at the sacrifice of the 30 million people who have sacrificed their blood for the cause of our nation, for the independence of our nation. We must carry it in our mind that we have earned this country at the cost of blood, as we have earned the language mother tongue Bengali at the cost of our blood. So we shall have to remember it forever. We shall never forget that this country is at anybody's will. We have earned this country at the cost of the blood of the martyrs. So, before concluding my speech, I thank you again and I congratulate you that you have shown such a beautiful performance in this house that we shall never forget it. For them, let us have a clap. So thank you very much. Now, I shall come to you with the questionnaires, and the honorable members of the Parliament of different countries, they will try to give your answers. Sneha, age 15. Sneha. Who is Sneha? Yes, you put your question. Microphone, please.
Thank you. In South Asia, children's sexual harassment is a huge problem. The main cause of this problem is lack of education and misconception of family members. We need to change the thinking from the root level. How a government can make a sustainable contribution to solve this problem.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I shall request honorable member from India. Will you be able to answer it, please? Do you get the question?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sneha, for the question. Yes, you are right that there have been incidences of sexual harassment at workplace, on the streets, and many places, and this has been happening everywhere. I would like to specifically mention what India is doing in this respect. We have very strict legislation against this. Sexual harassment at workplace. To prevent this, we have a committee of female employees, the directors who are female from the same institution, and if there's any such incident happening in that institute, the case is reported to the committee, and the committee takes care of whoever has done that, and that person is punished. Also, there's a provision for fine for that person. Also, there has been at a national level, many strict legislations have been formulated, and because of this, the percentage of sexual harassment is decreasing because of the strict legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable members of the parliament. Now I ask Mr. Mohini. Mr. Mohini.
Thank you.
Oh, Miss Mohini.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. I'm a student of
Once my teacher's name was Mohini Banerjee in the school. That's why I was telling Mohini. So, Miss Mohini, please put your question. Don't make any statement. Please put your question.
Okay. How can you or we stop using street child or orphans in the begging system of Asia?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for putting this question. May I request honorable member or anybody from Pakistan to answer? Can you?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Sorry.
Oh, you did not get the question.
Can you put the question again? I didn't.
Okay. How you or we can stop using street children or orphans in the begging system of Asia?
Street begging program where street orphans are used. I see. Okay, thank you very much. Very important question. Street children maybe in other countries as well, but in our country really it's a big problem, and especially when they're orphans. Street children not necessarily are orphans. They may not be orphans but still street children. There are two types of street children. One are off the street, one are on the street. The street children off the street, they come and they do begging during the day, but for the night they go to their parents' house. And the ones who are on the streets, they come and they sleep and you sort of, in these areas. The abuse, we have done a research in Pakistan, and the abuse is more like the ones who are on streets are more sexually and otherwise abused as compared to the one who are not, because they go during the night to their parents, that the one stay at the street, and they sit in the bus stands and taxi stands and this. So in our country, I don't know about the others, we have made not many but few street children homes, or we can give them the name of sweet homes. And first of all, we took care of the ones who were on the street because they were more sexually abused. But that is not that is a meager issue. That is like we gave them schooling, and we give them schooling like you people get. We give them food, we give them shelter, and they live there because they're. So this is a big issue, maybe in other countries too, but in my country, in Pakistan, it's a very big issue. And the orphans are more because our country is at war. Our country and Afghanistan both are at war since for the last 30 years, since you must be knowing whether you read the history or not, since Russian invasion and now the Americans, and the war is going on. While I'm here, I got a text now that there's a threat in KP Peshawar. Even today I got that. So we are living in a war-like situation where there are more orphan children as compared to the rest of the South Asian country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now the next question, Hamim.
In Maldives, drug consumption has increased to a large extent, especially among children, in an alarming rate for over 15 years. How do you intend to fix the problem?
Thank you very much. Now I request Maldives. Honorable Member of Parliament, please reply. Have you got the question?
Thank you very much for the question. In fact, in Maldives, we give a very great attention to each and every child is very, very important. We try to give security and safety to each child, whether it is a boy or a girl. Of course, we have experienced some issues related to the drug, especially within the young population. Young population means that sometimes we have noticed when the school children also involved for some extent, but the teenage people outside the school is mainly this is happening, this they are doing. But right now, many years ago, about 5-6 years ago, it is a big problem in Maldives. But right now, after this government, present government, our president, His Excellency Abdullah Yamin, his government, he is giving very much attention to the children as well as to youth. He is doing whatever he can do to save school children as well as to build a very constructive, very good youth within the country. So in that case, to eliminate in the drug and drug users, he is trying very much through government agencies plus private sector. So this is an area where Maldives is especially giving an attention. Plus, we have achieved some of the things, and also we have 2 houses for those people those children who are involved with the drugs. There are 2 houses that we can give treatment for them and then bring them to the society, and then they can behave like any normal children. Thank you very much for this question.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Next I ask Preeti Akhtar, Sherpur. Preeti Akhtar. Please microphone, give microphone.
Firstly, thanks, give me the opportunity. I have a question for the Honorable Member of Parliament of Nepal. So, ma'am, will South Asian countries sign any kind of referendum where political safetyness will secure for the children? Thus, they will not suffer. Thus, they will not suffer economic problem. Thus, they will not suffer economic safetyness for political violence.
Thank you. Thank you. Nepal.
Thank you for question. I give my answer, my own language. Please help Thakur sir. हामीले आफ्नो देशको लेभलबाट यो सबै बालबालिकाका समस्याहरूलाई समाधान गर्ने कोसिस गरिरहेका छौं। तर हामीले क्षेत्रीय स्तरमा सार्क कन्ट्रीको रूपमा पनि यसलाई सहकार्य गरेर अगाडि बढ्ने कोसिस गर्यो भने त्यो धेरै फ्रुटफुल हुन्छ भन्ने हामीलाई लागेको छ। र क्वेशनकर्ताले भन्नुभयो जस्तै हामीले क्षेत्रीय स्तरमा सार्क कन्ट्रीहरूको बिचमा सहकार्य र विभिन्न विषयहरूमा सम्झौता गरेर अगाडि बढ्न सक्दाखेरिमा यी कार्यक्रमहरू धेरै प्रभावकारी हुन्छन् भन्ने मलाई लाग्छ। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much for the question. Yes, at the state level, at the country level, Nepal has been coming up with new policies, programs to address these problems and to ensure social and economic rights and all the rights of children. But since we also have the problems that are related to the region and similar types of program, like for example child marriage, child labor, and this sort of program, to address this sort of program, it would be always good to have regional initiatives and efforts. So probably that's why even during our discussion, we talk about like what kind of strategy or plan we can come up with. So I think it is better to have kind of regional agreement or kind of effort to address these problems.
Thank you very much. Now I ask Al-Nafi Rajuk. Al-Nafi.
Thank you. In South Asian countries, we can see that many children are working in different sectors. And in some cases, we see that they are being a victim of violence. So what should you can do to reduce this violence in workplaces of children?
Thank you very much. Now I ask Bangladesh. Bangladesh, Mr. Mahabub.
Very good afternoon to all. First of all, thanks deserved by the UNICEF for organizing such a not only wonderful but a colorful events in this afternoon. And I thanks to the student who put the question. Perhaps I missed the question. What is your, repeat again.
What should the government can do to reduce violence in workplaces of children?
Yeah. You could recollect that a few days back, an incident took place at Sylhet. One of the disabled children was beaten to death. It was highlighted in the newspaper as well as in the media. At that time, Parliament is going on, session of the Parliament. We raised our voice, and there was a statement from the part of the Home Minister as well as Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. She took a pragmatic steps and directing the law enforcement agencies to arrest him immediately. And within a very short possible time, one of the perpetrators who left for Saudi Arabia, on seeing in the media, the people in Saudi Arabia, they caught red-handed of this particular perpetrators and handed over him to the law enforcing agency. He was immediately deported to Bangladesh, and trial was held within a short possible time. The perpetrators were hanged to death. So in this way, Parliament can play a very good role. And in many of the cases, even in the case of a girl of Will's Little Flower, she was the worst victim. And immediately there was Honorable Prime Minister as well as in the Parliament, there was a statement and voice raised by the Member of Parliament, and the perpetrators immediately arrested. And in this way, the trial was held within a very short possible time, and the perpetrators have been hanged to death. So democracy, if democracy can allow to continue, I think these are the problem. We will mitigate this problem within a very short possible time. And sustainable development goal, we are to reach the goal by 2030. It was launched in the year of 2015. And the steps which have been taken by the government, I think it is sufficient enough. We have to do some more. Definitely we have to do something more to achieve the definite goal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now I request Abdullah Nabil Rajuk. Please put your question.
Thank you. My question is for Pakistan.
that how do your government see the matter of honor killing, and what are the steps that your government took against it? And because we see this matter has happened many times in Pakistan against both girls and women.
Thank you very much. Pakistan.
Yeah, another very important question. You guys are very, very clever, you know. You know inside history of Pakistan and the Pashtun society, the Pashtun society as well. Yes, it's a big problem. We are overcoming it. Mainly is the lack of education. The areas which get education, and especially the female education, we have seen the statistics have shown that those areas are getting better and better where the female education is more. So what our government has done beside other measures, that we are putting more money now into the female education, more schools to the females rather than to the boys, so the new constructions are for the female. That is number one issue. And the second is that even the religious scholars, we have involved them and they are helping us as well. So hopefully it has certainly reduced, definitely over the last maybe 1 decade, 10 years, the ratio has decreased, and hopefully very soon we will take care of that and we will win it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Now I request Muntaha Rahman, age 15, Muntaha Rahman. Please, microphone.
Hello. My question is to the India. Rape in the city, the lifestyle is blamed, and rape of a woman, the clothing is blamed. But nowadays, children like Asifa are also being raped. So the fact is, we can't actually, the main fact is the mentality of the people are really responsible.
Muntaha, please concise your question. Simply question. You cannot make any statement.
Okay. How to prevent the child assault or, in a sense, child molestation?
Yes, India.
Yeah. Thank you very much for asking this question. And these are questions that trouble all humanity. It's not just, one part of the world. And child abuse has been rising world over. And is it a South Asian problem? Is it an India problem? Is it? Actually, if you look at it, we have the numbers. It's a huge problem worldwide, and especially in the Western world, it is extremely high, much more than Bangladesh, India, and any South Asian countries. Now the question of, there's also a question of reporting or under-reporting. That, of course, we are studying much more deeply. Why is it? Is it simply because less abuses and rapes are reported in India and South Asia? Or is it because the incidence of this? But whatever may the case, I think these are something that really questions are very conscious and asks us, are we really human beings? And this has been bothering many of the countries, and specifically India. We have done some recent things in the past. As just about a month ago, we have actually been debating whether death sentence can be given. While that debate was going on, because of one particular case, India passed an ordinance, any violent sexual abuse or rape of a child, there's an immediate death penalty. And that's the law passed in India just about a month ago. But punishment is not the cure. I think we need to look at the very fundamental, and we are examining various solutions. And I'm happy to see, just today in this conference we found some of the solutions. Maldives, for example, has very high incidence of child abuse, but today it is almost disappeared just in about 3 years, because they monitor a child, whether every day the government monitors a child through technology. If a child attends the school or he's absent, the government knows it. So various techniques are being evaluated to be able to monitor the safety of a child. Having said that, countries which are very large and diverse, countries which have a lot of remote places, some of these implementation challenges are there, unlike smaller countries, and the government is looking to start with, they immediately increase the punishment against violent sexual abuse of children. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Now I request Sababa Tamanna. Please put your question. Microphone, please. Yes.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to ask something. My question is that we all believe that every single child is different and every single child is unique. So in that case, how does writing 7 or 10 creative questions represent a child's creativity or a child's own talent?
Thank you very much. I ask Sri Lanka to answer. Yes. No, Afghanistan and Bhutan.
Thank you very much for the very tough questions to answer. Anyway, it's a very good question. So, always that we think that education helps to solve all the problems. But sometimes it's not true. We need a humanity. We need a peace. We need love. Those things are most important for the society. So I believe, but most of the countries that they reach their education levels in very high. For example, in Sri Lanka, we have the youth literacy rate became almost 99. But also, we want to encourage the harmony of the different ethnic groups, different religious groups. Those are always helps to encourage the society's peace. So, education is most important, but we have a lot of questions in same time. For example, when we are thinking about as a youth and poverty levels of the country, for example, Bangladesh or other South Asian countries, we are fighting with the poverty levels of the society. And also equality, like for example, your race, your religion, your caste, those type of problem also involved with the society. But we need to focus with the high level and the quality of education, especially among the youth. Then we can cultivate the peace and harmony of the society. That's the final answer to become peace and harmony of the society. I believe, for example, looking at the youths today here in the Bangladesh, you are the future of Bangladesh. You can change the Bangladesh. And you can change the South Asia. You can change the world. And finally, you can change the universe. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much. Now I shall request Andrila Borua. Microphone, please.
Honorable Speaker, I would like to ask the question to the Honorable Delegate of Afghanistan is that, sir, during a war, we can observe that the children of both war countries are the worst sufferers, which is also noticeable in Rohingya issue. Then how will we ensure the safety of those innocent children?
Thank you very much. Afghanistan.
Thank you. As you know, Afghanistan is a not post-war country. It is a it is a country in war. On Monday, we had it last Monday when we came here. It was an attack in Kabul, and we lost 10 journalists. All of them was 20 to 30 years old, young people. Every day we lost children, we lost civilian. And the school was attacked, and everywhere is attacked. Of course, our children also, they need the safe life like everywhere. But unfortunately, this war in Afghanistan since 4 decades, and we know that it is not Afghan war. The terrorist is not Afghan terrorists. All of them, they have not the training. We have not training school in Afghanistan. They come from somewhere, unfortunately, but our children suffer from this war. And this 17 years, we have a lot of schools. Unfortunately, due to terrorist attack, sometimes they they burn the schools, and the children must be at home. We have at the moment about 8 million children, more than 8 million children, they are going to the school, and about 36% of the school children are girls. But still we suffer from security, poverty, and due to unsafe society, the family try to keep the children at home, and we have at the moment more than 3 million and a half million children, they are out of the school. Afghanistan in this situation, they cannot build so much school. We have not so much resource, but I hope that the international community help us. Until now, they helped a lot, and they built, Afghanistan was 17 years ago, very were destroyed. We had any girls went to the school, but now we are in the good way. But unfortunately, still we have war, and it is our big problem and challenge.
Thank you very much. So, my dear young parliamentarians, I have got only one question, last question, and which will be put to Bhutan. Before putting this question, you know that amongst with us, a honorable member of parliament, Kaji Roji, she has written a small poem for you, and I shall allow her to recite the poem. Kaji Roji.
First of all, I am honored, feeling like a very good gathering with youth. You are all youth. I think so. আমি বাংলায় বলবো, আপনারা যারা বুঝবেন তারা বুঝে নেবেন। আমি আপনাদেরকে জন্যই আমার এই লেখা এখানে বসে এখন। শিশুর বেড়ে ওঠার সময়কাল। তোমাদের প্রয়োজনে তোমরা এনেছো ডেকে সার্কভুক্ত 8টি দেশের ভালোবাসা। ওদের যারা যুব সম্প্রদায়, বুকের খাঁচায় অফুরান আশা। ওরা শিশুদের শিখিয়ে দেবে স্বপ্ন রঙিন ভালোবাসা এবং ভাষা। শিশুদের জন্য খাদ্য চাই, শিশুদের শিক্ষা চাই, শিশুদের স্বাস্থ্য চাই, চাই আশ্রয় নিবাস, চাই নিরাপত্তা পরিবেশ, চাই নির্ভরতা এবং বিশ্বাস। শিশু কিশোর তরঙ্গে ওদের আছে আশ্বাস, যুব তরঙ্গ কেঁপে ওঠে ওদের সম্পূর্ণ নিঃশ্বাস। প্রশ্বাসে ছড়িয়ে দেয় জীবনের জয়গান, শিশু অধিকার জানিয়ে দেয় শিশুদের অভিমান। শিশু শ্রম সঠিক নয়, বেশ তো জানে শিশুরা, শিক্ষা দিয়েই জ্বালাতে হয় সঠিক জীবনধারা। থ্যাংক ইউ অল।
Thank you, ma'am. Kaji Roji, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now, I shall request Mohammad Yassin to put the last question. Microphone, please.
I am Mohammad Yassin from Borishal Jila School, Borishal. My question is for Bangladeshi parliamentarian members.
The question.
My question is, in our rural areas and government schools, colleges, we are not given enough healthcare facilities regarding nutrition plan and healthy foods. So, how do you think we can solve these problems? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, Bhutan.
Well, let me put it this way. Woman is known by her character and a country is known by its administration of justice. So if you look at the constitution, basically it provides health and education to be provided by state. And while doing so, we have advocacy campaign, we have balanced diet in every school. In fact, the government has come up with 60 central schools and another 60 central school is in the pipeline. So basically the idea of having the central school is to provide balanced diet to the students. And then we have also come up with every day 1 egg per day per child. I think that is the initiative that the government has taken up. And then in the schools, they also have this concept of vegetable gardens that has been made mandatory in the boarding schools. So basically that is to ensure that the children get nutrition properly and health. When you talk about health in Bhutan, not only for the Bhutanese, anyone residing in Bhutan, I think should they fall ill, they also get free medical facilities in Bhutan, and even education up to the college standard, studying in Bhutan, I think that is also free. So if they want to pursue further studies after class 12, then of course it is merit-based, you need to get scholarship. But beyond that, it is free. So the point that I want to drive home is basically the kitchen garden that has been introduced. And if you look at especially the SDG goals, basically they say that, you know, this 21st century belongs to Asia. This is the Asian century, and that is where we have made an example internationally. Bhutan has already achieved 70% of our SDG goals, and now we are very much ahead. And I think the issue that the South Asians are facing in terms of active aging, the youth population, and other issues, I think that is holistically taken care of by SDGs, and I think that is the way to go. And I think a road of miles begins with only one step, and I think we are in the right directions. And I hope that today is the age of telecommunication, and we need to link together and help each other. And as long as we are together with the same voice, with the same mind, heart, and soul, I think that is where our future lies. Thank you.
Thank you, Bhutan, for your good and nice reply. My dear young parliamentarians, there were as many as 20 questions, but I could allow only 10 questions to reply. So, for paucity of time, I could not allow the others to put their questions, for which I beg to be excused. I have enjoyed the questions and the answers as well. And probably you have learned many things from the answers given by the honorable members of the parliament of different countries of the South Asian countries. So I do hope this experience will lead you to be a very good parliamentarian in our country once upon a time. And we should be waiting till that day. Thank you very much. And I close here the question and answer period. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fazle Rabi Mia, Honorable Deputy Speaker from Bangladesh, to have shared this session. I think we have a very interesting day and a very interesting interaction. The debate was very lively and inspiring us how to continue to debate, because by debating we are building the future. And I think this is what is important. And the Parliament for us is always an example, because this is where the questions are debated and move to the next step. We hope that the next session, which is a very important session, is the budgeting session. We are going to move forward and continue to build a better future for children in Bangladesh, but as well in all the different parliaments in the region. I was as well very inspired by all the questions and the answers. And as we are closing today, the day, we are going to have a cocktail. And during the cocktail, you could ask more questions to all the parliamentarians. So all the children here, the parliamentarians, are invited to go to the cocktail right now. I would like to high tea. High tea. I have a questions from delegates.
Just one question or query, you know. I would like to know how many of these students are from the government and how many of these are from the private school. The students.
Okay. I think we're going to be able to respond to this question with Shakil. And we are going to give you the answer just after. I don't have the answer myself right now.
Hello everyone, the parliamentarian actually wants to know how many of you people are from the government school. Please raise your hand. Those are from the government school. And the rest of us are from private schools.
The private school, please raise your hands from the private school.
So let's give a clap.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm going to leave a last vote of thanks to concluding remarks to Jean Good, our regional director. Thank you.
I will just start. I just request a big hands to all the teams for all the great work. With these debates, we are building democracy. And for me, that's the importance of this afternoon. Because through parliaments, we build democracy, and we want to continue to build democracy in South Asia. So keep it up, and I look forward to keeping engaged with the country and seeing how the future develops. So thanks a lot for showing us, asking challenging questions, and making us think. Thank you so much. Now the session is closed, and let's go to the high tea.
Thank you. So please, just here, there is the high tea is open. Thank you.